Welcome to today's lesson, grade 6 mathematics. So we are still going on with the fractions, but now we want to express fractions as percentages. Expressing fractions as percentages, or what we call converting fractions into percentage. Now, as we know, fraction is part of a whole. So when we talk about a fraction, we are talking about part of a given number, not the whole number. As well as when you talk about percentages, percentages is ranked out of 100. So percentage, and we use the sign of percentage. Percentage is always out of 100. So when you get 100 over 100, that means you have gotten everything. That's why sometimes when the assessment are converted into percentage, you are given a certain percentage out of 100. So whatever being converted or being expressed as a percentage is expressed out of 100. So how can we express fractions as percentages, or how can we convert fraction into percentage? So let me take an example of, let us start with a simple fraction like a half. You are asked to convert a half into percentage. So in grade 6, the only method that we are recommended to use, which is not the only, there are some other methods also, but in this grade, what we are expected to do is to look at the denominator. So we know that percentage is out of 100, anything out of 100. So if you are given a fraction like 1 over 2, so these two here, you will have these two numbers. So have 1, the numerator on top, the denominator, which is 2, down. So you have these two numbers. But using the denominator, because we want this answer, the answer here should be out of 100. We want to make this 1 over 2 a percentage, and therefore I have said that percentage is a number over 100. So we have been given 1 over 2. So using the denominator, these two, we want to look for a way, how can we make these two become 100? What can we do to 2 to become 100? So the best thing we can do to these two to become 100 is by looking for a number that if we multiply it by these two, we will get 100. And sometimes learners struggle to get these numbers. Maybe they can start by guesswork. Can it be 2 times 10? Can it be 2 times 20? Something like that. But instead of guesswork, we will take this denominator, which is that 100. You know, in multiplication of the multiplication, if you have a number like 2 times 3, you will have 6. So there is this number 2. We want to assume that this 2 is this. We want to multiply it by a number here to give us this number here. So playing with these three numbers, if you have 2 times 3, you will get 6. So the moment, maybe if you are given now the answer, like 2 times dash is equal to 6. Now I'm talking about this case. 2 times dash gives you 100. So instead of guessing how can we get that number, just take the answer, take that 6, divide by 2. So if you take this 6, you divide it by this 2, you are supposed to get this number here, because these are called factors of 6. So 2 times 3 is 6. So if one is given a number times dash is equal to a given number, so you just take that given number, divide by the one of the factors that you have been given. So like in this case, instead of guessing, of struggling how to get this, just take this 100, divide it by 2, this 2, you will get 50. So that 50 is what is supposed to be here. So you have 2 times 50 giving you 100. Once you have 2 times 50 giving you 100, this number you have used down, the number you have gotten down here is the same number you are supposed to use up. So this part inakuanga the same number, is always the same number. So if it is 50, top is also 50. If it is 20, top is also 20. So that you have 2 times 50 giving you 100, and because that 100 is what we wanted, a number over 100, then on top now you will have 1 times 50 giving you 50. So we will have 50 over 100. So once you have 50 over 100, I've said anything over 100 is percentage. So you will have 50%. So a half changed into percentage is 50%, or a half expressed as a percentage is 50%. Let me get another example. You have a number like maybe 3 over 4, 3 over 4, 3 over 4. So 3 over 4 expressed as a percentage. What are we going to do? So it's the same thing. We will have the two numbers 3 and 4 down here. Of course, the answer should always give us something over 100. So we are going to look for a number that we can multiply by 4, the denominator, to give us 100. And I've said, instead of struggling to look for that number, just take that 100, divide it by 4. So if you divide it by 4, you will get 25. So this number here is 25. So that if you have 4 times 25, you are supposed to get 100. 4 times 25 is 100. Then I said this number you have used down here is the same number you use up. So I'm repeating, this number is always 1. The number you find down here is the same number you use up. So 3 times 25 should give you 75. So 75 over 100, that gives you 75%. Once you have it over 100, it gives you 75%. Now, sometimes it can be in a word problem. So like this one that I want to read. There's this one I want to read. So you can have your pen and a book, and you also write it down. So they're saying, the question says, Okumu planted 20 tree seedlings on his farm. Okumu planted 20 trees on his farm. So you have, so these are the number of trees that were planted. The total number of trees, 20. I said, anytime you are doing word problems, once you have read up to the first full stop, it is good to write something, especially what you have read there. That is how easy you make some of these things. Once you write it down, you realize that by the end of the day, you know what is supposed to be done. So this is the first statement, that Okumu planted 20 tree seedlings on his farm, full stop. You continue after that full stop, it says, after some times or after some days, 5 seedlings dried. So hapa you talk about 5 dried. So even if you even just like a mathematician, somebody who's interested in mathematics, even before you continue with that statement, you know that those trees that survived, those survived, because if you plant some trees, then others dried up. There are those that survived. So in this case, those survived were 15. There are 15 trees that were that did not dry up. So you have 2 parts here. You have the trees that dried and you have those that survived, giving you a total of 20. So that means if you are asked to, any question can come there, like what fraction represent trees that dried? So you come to the number of trees that dried, you want to express this as a fraction. The number of trees that dried over the total, they were 20. So you will have 5 over 20. That is, you have expressed the number of trees that dried as a fraction. You can as well be asked what fraction of trees survived or did not dry up. So you take the number that remained, the 15 that survived, over 20. From there, we can go back now to the question or to the area you are handling. We were converting fraction as into percentages. In this question, the question now is, what fraction of the seedlings dried? What fraction of the seedlings dried? So if they talk about what fractions of the seedlings dried, that is this. The 5 trees over the total 20. You can simplify that. At grade 6, I know you are supposed to learn how to simplify fractions. Because for you people, most of your assessment are multiple choices. So if you are doing an assessment and anytime you are handling fraction, and I've always said that, anytime you are handling fraction, make sure that your answer is in the simplest form. So this one you can as well simplify. Simplifying means if there's a number that can divide both numerator and denominator, divide it until you reach a point where there is no number that can divide both numerator and denominator. That is what now we refer to as simplified fraction. So like in this case, 5 can divide 5 and 5 can divide 20. So you divide it. 5 divide 5 1 times, 5 divide 20, 4. So in terms of fraction, if you are told to express, like in this case is asking what fraction of the seedlings dried, then the best answer there should be 1 over 4. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry to write 5 over 20. Then you go through your choices and you realize that it is not there. Then you say, you ask the teacher, the answer is not there. The answer is there. Most of learners, they do that mistake. After rushing, the first thing they look at is the choices, is what I've gotten in the choices. If it is not there, that question does not have answer. Simplify your fraction. We can as well be told to express the fraction of those trees that dried excuse me, as a percentage. So if you are told to express this as a percentage, then you will take it 5 over 20. The same process, you look for a number that if you multiply by 20, we will get 100 here. And the same number, we are supposed to have it up. So you will have 100 divided by 20. So that I think will give you 5. So 20 times 5 is 100. So I've said the same number you use down is the same number you use up. So 5 times 5 is 25. So in terms of percentage, the number of trees that dried in terms of percentage are 25%. 25%. We can as well be asked anything about those trees that survived, the trees that did not dry. In terms of fraction, they are 15/20, which of course you can as well simplify also. 5 goes into 15 3 times, 5 divided 24. So in terms of fractions, the number of trees that survived is 3/4 or 3/4. If you are told to change it, express that as a percentage, the same process. Of course, this one you will get 75. You can just pick it from here direct, that if this 25% dried, then the remaining percentage survived, that is 75. Another word here, there's another one here, which I also want you to write that question as I read it. So the question says, this one is a little bit different, but it is the same, under the same area. You are told Nyabuto, somebody here by the name Naisai earns 600 shillings daily. Naisai, I said anytime you are handling mathematics, the first thing you read, have something to write. So Naisai earns 600 shillings per day. So this is the amount this person is earning. So per day, that means every day this person is paid 600. Full stop. After that full stop, he says he spends 120 shillings on fare. So this person is using 120 shillings on fare. Even before you continue with that statement, you automatically know that if this person is earning 600 shillings per day, and that given day, he also uses 120. Remember now, this is the total amount of money this person is having. Every day, he has 600. So out of 600, if he uses 120 for fare, that means what this person is remaining with, we can get that difference. What this person is remaining with is around 480. So this is the money that the person has for survival. 480. That's the money the person has for survival. And therefore, anything that is asked in terms of fractions, then all of them are out of the 600, because the 600 is the total amount. So this question is asking, what percentage of the earnings does he spend on fare? On fare. So they want us to express this 120, that fare, as a percentage. So we will have to change it first as a fraction. So fraction is 120, that is using over the total 600. So in this case, if you realize that maybe because we were looking for a number that if you multiply by this denominator, you get 100, and already this is 600 plus 100. So maybe the first thing you can do, then you can try to simplify it. But even if you simplify it, sometimes if you simplify this thing, you are going to get something like you divide by 6, 6 goes there, 2 goes there, 10. So 1/5. So if you simplify this thing to the simplest form, you will realize that you will have 1/5. If it is, because you need it as a fraction, kwanza. The first thing you have to change it as a fraction. That is when you can change it as a percentage. So you first of all simplify it to the simplest form. So if you simplify it to the simplest form, you will realize that you will have 1/5. So once you have 1/5, we are going back to that method of making this denominator, which in this case is 5, 100. How can we make 5 100? So what number can we multiply by 5 to get 100? That number is 20. Then I've said the number you use down is the same number you use up. So we'll have 5 times 20, 100, 1 times 20, 20. So you will have 20 over 100. Once you have that over 100, it is already a percentage. So in terms of percentage, this person is spending 20% of his earnings on fare. He spends 20% of his daily earnings on fare. So that means how much this person remain with after spending. In terms of percentage, you just take 20, subtract from 100, because that is the total percentage. So that means this 80%, 180 shillings represent 80% of his share of his earnings. Or you can as well do it the same. You first of all simplify it to the simplest form. You'll realize that you will have a simplified fraction, then you convert it into as a percentage. So a market has 50 stalls. A market has 50 stalls. So the number of stalls in this market are 50. So that's the first thing you have to know. Get the total first. So the number of stalls are 50. So remember, stalls are where people, those small rooms in the market where people sells. So there are 50 of them in that market. Then a county official allocated 32 stalls to traders. So out of 50, 32 were allocated, means given out. So 32 are given out. That means there are some stalls that are still remaining unoccupied. So you can as well talk about those. Those that are still remaining now is around 18, not allocated. So are still remaining. But going by this question, the question is asking, what percentage of the stalls remained? Now look at that. Remained. That means we really need how many stalls are remaining unallocated. That's why I'm saying understand the question and write it bit by bit down there, so that by the end of the day you don't struggle. Somebody will just take 32 over 50. That one is the fraction of the stalls that have been allocated. So this person is asking that what percentage of the stalls remained at this 18. Remember, those 18 you are not given, so you have to get them from the total number of stalls minus the stalls allocated. Once you have it, 18, you put it as a fraction, 18 over 50, total number of stalls. Then we do the same process. What can we do to this 50 to make it 100? The same number, we will multiply the numerator to get the same. So 50 divided by 100 divided by 50 is 2. So that means this number is 2. 50 times 2 is 100. The same 2 we use up there. So I've said that number must be the same number. So 18 times 2, you get 36. So that is the percentage. So the percentage of stalls that remained are 36%. 36%. That is what I had today for our candidates, grade 6. Continue sharing this information. If you have a relative, a friend who has a candidate, even if you don't have, but you know somebody, please refer them to this platform. All these things are on my YouTube. So join my YouTube channel, subscribe, share, so that as well we can reach as many people as possible. Otherwise, the next lesson is coming a different grade. Thank you for watching.